Hello and welcome to another engaging episode of Community Report. I am Dare Ido. Music has always been a key part of Nigeria's rich cultural history, different communities with different sounds, all creating a unique identity. Now let's talk about the talking drum and the ones peculiar to a place. Most talking drums give humming sounds depending on how they are played, and nothing sounds like them in the family of musical instruments. This is what fascinates percussionists across the world who have even carried out various research work into this traditional instrument, some call speech surrogates. On this episode of the program, we visited Oyo town where the talking drum forms a key part of the people's identity, but as we will find out, what is good for one may be bad for another. This is the seal of Oyo State in southwest Nigeria, and one of the key features of the seal is the agricultural endowment. Another feature that catches the eyeball is the talking drum, gangan, and the beaded god rattle, shekere. Gangan is an hourglass-shaped drum that produces sound to mimic human speech. The drum talks in a tone only those who have depth of the language can decipher. Made from wood, leather, cowrie shells, and other materials, the drum ranges in size and sound. The use of talking drum as a form of communication was noticed by Europeans in the first half of the 18th century, where detailed messages could be sent from one village to another. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Professor David Awurawa of History and Strategic Studies from the University of Lagos is our guide into historical perspectives of the structure and culture that gave birth to these musical instruments.
The Oyo Kingdom, of course, a Yoruba kingdom, according to various traditions, and as documented by various scholars, notably Professor Kinjogbi and the rest of them. The Oyo Kingdom, the origins are traced to migrations from Ile-Ife, where the Yoruba, the cradle of the Yoruba, the oral sources indicate that at some point when the population of the Yoruba grew, in Ife and its environs, somehow the Yoruba states, the Oyo Kingdom, and even some others like Benin, had this structure where, oral information, which we refer to as oral tradition, that is, which contains information regarding the culture of the people, the founding of the kingdom, the evolution, migration, and their history, handed over from one generation to another by word of mouth, such that you have a group of people who are custodians of the culture and the history. And as they grow old, they transmit information to another generation such that the history is not lost. The talking drum is not unique to the Oyo, or even unique to Yoruba. You have the talking drum also among in Borno, and some Fulani groups, the Ewe, the Chui, the Fante, in modern Ghana, some groups in Senegal, and all that, Madinka or Sere or whatever. So it is not something that is distinctly unique to, Yoruba or Oyo, but the Oyo have their own distinct, form of the talking drum, the dundun, the gangan, which are the two prominent ones among the Yoruba. The fact that the talking drum became useful in many things. It was used to talk, to pass on message, to entertain, and all that, made it now popular, adopted by several other groups among, in addition to the Oyo. So you have it virtually across, Yoruba land. It is significant because it reflects the culture, even though it's not, entirely unique to the Yoruba. They have their own distinct one, the dundun, the gangan. So it's the fact that it is used to communicate to pass on message. It's the way the pitch is, manipulated such that it literally talks. There is one John Carrington who has written a book on the talking drums of Africa. If you pay some attention to this, or your version, this Yoruba version, the dundun and the gangan. So, and it draws attention to the fact that it is used to communicate, it is used to entertain, and that has fascinated people. And that is also why, the talking drum has remained relevant until now. In many cultural activities, festivals, you see the talking drum being used to, do either of these two, either to pass on a message or communicate or to entertain. And of course, the aspect of entertainment has even made it even more popular because musicians, will come and then bring the talking drum to do a few things. In recent times, there's this one lady like that drums a whole lot, and she uses the talking drum as well. And that has also made it to become attractive to the younger generation because, the entertainment dimension especially. But in the old days, it was used both to communicate, to pass on information, and of course, to entertain as well.
The drum is held under one arm and played by another with a curved stick. To adjust the pitch, a drummer is expected to squeeze the drum under the arm while playing. The leather cords on the side can be used to adjust the tones. Bells and a circle of beeswax on the drumheads produce even more musical variation, and that is the beauty of this instrument. Playing the talking drum is not as easy as it sounds. It takes a skilled drummer to get the desired sound.
My name is Olusoji Ojemakinde, popularly known as Ayiki. So I started playing this drum since I think when I was 21. That was this particular drum professionally. So, but I've been playing one drum or the other since I was 3. So I grew up with my grandmother, and she loves singing. So mostly I've always been playing awotangana, I've been playing at plates, and one of these days, and she just said that you cannot be breaking my plate like this. So she bought me a shekere, and I was playing. Each time she's singing, she sings a lot. So, and anytime she sings, I must play something. So she had to buy shekere. Later she bought agogo, and from there I started. So before I was 16, I was already playing like 6 kind of African drums: akuba, agogo, shekere, like that. If you see a skilled drummer, especially in Oyo, you will fall in love. There is no way. You will fall in love. So somehow I've seen battle drummers. I've seen during the Google Festival, they do it a lot. During that 7 days, there is massive drumming. So when you hear them from afar, and when I never believed that when I was there, but until now that I actually researched into it, when they are playing a particular kind of drum, you know what that thing is meant for. So somehow very early in the morning, when we hear some drums, it's either they are in chief house, or they went to the king's house, or they are announcing something early in the morning. Maybe somebody passed the previous day, so they announce it with drumming different money. When it's festival period, when you hear Iluegun, you know it's Iluegun. It's always very energetic. There is nothing slow about it. So, and until I studied communication art actually. So until I started, researching into it, that was then, okay, this is what. So I had the first-hand experience. As it were. I always tell them, I'm not teaching you what to play. I just want to teach you how to play it, so that I can apply whatever you have learned outside my own. But how to play it, I will teach you. Then you cannot get to learn how to play proverb. There are some guys too who are good with proverbs. I have a man, his name is Alajide. He can play 500 proverbs without looking anywhere. It's that good. Now he's been into it for more than 60 years. So you can imagine that kind of person. So if I teach you how to play, and you meet that kind of man, so it will teach you what to play when it comes to proverb, and like that. So my thing is, I realize that they are interested in learning. the young ones, then it means that the future is safe.
The fascination of the many sounds produced by this musical instrument continues for music lovers even beyond the shores of Nigeria.
Beautiful Yoruba talking drums from Nigeria. I love these. These are our top of the range talking drums. They're made from all traditional materials. Cow guts, hardwood shells, range of different shells that they use, kadi or sometimes lenke, jala timbers. Originally they used the skin of a stillborn calf. Now they tend to use goat skins, very, very thin goat skins that are stretched a lot before they actually go onto the instrument. They're beautifully crafted instruments actually, many hours go into making them. Superb instruments, great pitch bend, and they come in two different sizes. The big one like this, and the medium like this. Check them out.
It is accepted as a major aspect of the culture of the people, as you can see. If you go to the Oba's Palace and most of the chiefs, you see these things displayed with pride, you know. So that makes it important. And then second, how it has been used as a means of communication. You know, in those days, several things were used. Sometimes they used the trumpet to blow it, you know, to pass on some information. And of course, the talking drum was also one of those things used. So the fact that the Oyo, the evolution of the talking drum is said to originate with the Oyo, at least among the Yoruba. And over time, they've made it sophisticated. It's something we are proud of. And it's something that we should be interested in studying. In fact, you know, the major works, interestingly, have been from even people from, you know, not from within. The Carrington book was published in 1949, The Talking Drums of Africa. Although it's not just on the dundun, gangan of the Oyo, but some attention is paid to these ones too in the book, in addition to other, you know, talking drum versions of other groups in Africa. So it's something that we should be interested in, just as much as we should be interested in our cultures. Our cultures evolved, the way they have developed, and the way they have managed to withstand, you know, the test of time. You know, colonialism came and all that, yet these things have endured. And there's even a dimension to it that, you know, might interest you. And that is that some of these cultures, I mean, these cultural patterns, the talking drum, we even found them in South America, in Brazil, in Cuba. And, you know, these things also help us to trace where those who migrated there likely came from. When you see a cluster of people in Brazil, for instance, doing some cultural activities and using the talking drum and all that, you want to think that these people must be from maybe, you know, Western Nigeria, because that is where the talking drum is known to be popular, you know, in Nigeria itself and all that. So it is not just a cultural symbol that is, you know, linked only to the Yoruba, I mean the Oyo and the Yoruba, but also, you know, a cultural symbol in the diaspora. In fact, the people in diaspora are as enthusiastic in ensuring that this culture does not fade away as we here, you and I who are here, you know, talking about it, which makes it very fascinating.
Dr. Michael Varner, an American percussionist, composer, and educator, is one of the many researchers who have piqued interest in studying the sound in and out.
I had the opportunity about 2 years ago to go to Nigeria to study the music of the Yoruba in southwest Nigeria. The university gave me a leave to do that. While there, I studied and found out a fascinating history about the instruments and the groups of instruments available and how they really relate and reflect the culture. So when I came back, I wanted to do something to share that passion. So I wrote a composition that combines the European bassoon, and I'll explain why in just a little bit, and the traditional instruments of the Yoruba. So I'd like to introduce you to a little bit to how the instruments are being used and a little bit about the purpose of the piece, okay? First of all, the instrument that you see here is called the dundun. This is the talking drum, and it's a drum of strange power. This was originally minimalized or banned in the New World because the instrument speaks, and what it says is strictly understood by the Yoruba. The instrument represents a family of instruments. I'd like to introduce you to the family. First of all, the drum I have here is an hourglass-shaped drum, has cords of antelope and a head of antelope, and as I squeeze these cords, if I pull it,
We embarked on the journey to Oyo town to get a better understanding of the people and how they make this beautiful instrument. Oyo is a traditional ancient town, and everything points to that, from the people to their lifestyle. As a matter of fact, it was an empire led by the Alafin of Oyo during the pre-colonial era, and it remains one of the few places to go to trace the origin of the Yorubas. This symbol placed at one of the town's main road represents how traditional Oyo is.
Lórí gbogbo àlàyé tí mo ṣe fún yín, tẹ́ bá kíyèsí lórí àlàyé tí mo ṣe fún yín, eléyìí ó ní mo sọ fún yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan wípé ẹ̀gì.
Elder Adebayo runs a musical instrument store here. He makes, sells and repairs them. The making of the talking drum is a thorough, painstaking one, but to summarize it, it is laboriously carving a single piece of wood and topping it with goat skin.
After killing the goat, then we start the process of removing the hair from the skin. We then soak it. Soaking makes it soft. After soaking, we spread it and it is ready for use. We lay the bare skin on the carved wood. The string on the side is carefully laid. We count 25 in some cases and some 32, depending on how full we want the side to be. After laying the string on the side, we will use a blade to perfect the edges of the drum. We will also dress it with our hands and spread it in the sun for the surface to dry up. Both the front and the back has a leather surface. The finishing is done after the whole process, and it will be ready to be played. We also carve the stick and bend the head to put it in shape, ready to be used for drumming.
There's culture change. Over time, cultures may change. There may be fusion here and there, adaptation of culture and all that. And sometimes certain cultural practices disappear entirely in the process of culture change. So when we see cultural traits like these that have endured, over time, over several centuries, they have endured, they're even expanding. Just like we said, when you go to Oyo, I've been to Oyo too. In many of the homes I've visited, these symbolisms are there. You see this leather, this animal skin, and then you see the talking drum, hung there. The thing to use to beat it is also hung there, and shekere also is hung there and all that. These things are fascinating. It means that these cultures will likely not die. And like I said before, we now also have the younger generation, learning it and adding it to you know, their mood of entertainment in terms of music and dance.
In another side of town, we met a family whose daily job is drumming. Anyon, a prefix that marks the bearers out as hereditary custodians of the mysteries of Anyon Galu. From the old to the young, the name, the tradition, and the pride are passed down. And that is the story of Anyonyemi Ahmed, who was born into the family of drummers.
We get invited to different events, weddings, birthday, naming ceremony, or any traditional event. Our job is to entertain and make people happy. There is no drum I can't play, because that is how we were taught. I can play this and bigger ones. I was born into it. It is not an activity we picked up along the line. Our forefathers have been into and they passed it down to us. My father is a drummer. If the rope is not broken, there's no way the squirrel can be captured.
But in a neighboring Kwara state, a community in Ilorin does not allow drumming even at social events. Quiet and peaceful. There are 11 communities, 250 households, and they are holding on firmly to their age-long tradition.
It has been existent right from the establishment of this community, Agbaji. There is no one can beat drum in this community. It has never happened for once. Even there was a time, according to history, a masquerade mistakenly passed through Agbaji, died on that very day. It was by mistake. It wasn't deliberate. Means our forefathers, they've done it, they've prayed, they've asked Allah to be in their guidance, to be with them, so that whatever they request from him, it shall be. It's part of what they requested from Allah. That nobody should beat drum, there will be no masquerade within this area. It's only radio jingle, radio program, television, and whatsoever. We don't call that drum. We are listening to maybe news or any other program. It's not taboo. It's not taboo. We do listening just to know what is going on. That's why we are listening to radio and television. They don't need to tell anyone that you shouldn't beat drum. They've all known. It's spread all over.
There are differences in playing styles of the talking drum across the African continent. But Eastern Mali, Burkina Faso, and Ghana towards Niger, Western Chad, and Nigeria, the playing style of the talking drum is centered on producing long and sustained notes by hitting the drum head with the stick holding hand and the accompanying free hand used to change the tones. That's our show for today, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. If you missed any part of it, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. You can also join the conversation on our social media platforms displayed on the screen. Thank you very much for watching. I am Darido. We'll see you next time, and bye for now.